So, okay. Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to tell about the reformulation of the problem. So, the plan of our lesson: design thinking, a tool for problem solving and analyzing the course of the problem. So, what is design thinking? This term dates back to the 1987 book by Peter Rowe, Design Thinking, and in that book, he describes the way that architects and urban planners would approach design problems. However, the idea that there was a specific pattern of problem solving in design thoughts came much earlier in Herbert Simon's book, The Sciences of the Artificial, which was published in 1969. The concept was popularized in early 1990s by Richard Buchanan in his article Weekly Problems in Design Thinking. So design thinking is concerned with solving problems through design, and the idea being that the future output of the process will provide a better answer than one already the one already available, or if nothing is available, something entirely new. It's an unconstrained methodology where it's possible that the designer will work on many possible solutions at once. It enables designers to consider the problem in many different ways and speculate on both the past and future of the problems too. Design thinking process is initially a process which moves from problem to solution, and Herbert Simon is offered the classic approach. So definition, where the problem is defined as best as possible prior to solving it. Research, where the designers examine as much data as they feel necessary to able to fully contribute to the problem-solving process. Ideation, where the designer commences creating possible solution without examining their practically until a large number of solutions has been proposed. Prototyping, where the best ideas are simulated in some means so that their value can be explored with users. Choosing, where the best ideas are selected from the multiple prototypes. Implementing, where the idea is built and delivered as a product. Testing, where the product is tested with the user in order to ensure that it solves the original problem in an effective manner. So the proponents of a linear process in design thinking consider the design process is divided into two distinct phases: structuring the problem identification and formulation, and structuring the search for solution. The first phase is considered an analytic sequence in which the designer determines all the elements of the problem and specifies all the requirements and constraints. Problem identification and formulation is a very important phase, since a wrongly formulated problem will not lead to a successful design solution. The second phase, structuring the search for a solution, consists of synthesis and analysis sequences in which several possible concepts are evaluated to find the best solution for the problem. So the design process offers a structure opportunities to develop creative talents as well as a range of other complex skills. These opportunities also exist for problem-based learning and other learning activities that parallel the design process. Most design education begins with the consideration of multiple ideas to initiate projects. It is common for instructor in an architect graphics class to require 3 design ideas to be presented or 20 thumbnails to examine different forms of layout. So design, an academic endeavor, is not limited solely to solving problems. Lawson and Dortz describe the design process as having a number of procedural steps that provide opportunities to encourage creativity. These early phases of formulating include identifying and defining problems. The idea of framing or reframing a problem that is posed offers opportunities for early exploration and creativity. So, framing is a redirectioning or the renaming of an initial problem description, which can lead to substantially different outcomes. Whether we think of it as the reformulation of problems or the identification of elements, making them explicit and developing their characteristics is not clear cut but is substantial part of design project. This is clearly an important and central design skill, Lawson and Dodds, but by its nature, reframing encourages diverse output as long-term habit. As long-term habit, this recognition and use of semantic reshaping can be considered a form of critical thinking and weighting initial viewpoints. Another aspect of design process is a series of interpretive and developmental moves. An initial move, also referred to as gambit, leads to a subsequent set of decisions. Different beginnings lead to different directions, each reflecting different conceptual orientation and attitudes. These moves interpret the design challenge, the context, and the constraints of the given problem. They also built on the framing of the initial challenge. Subsequently, other developmental moves occur logically as a consequence of earlier decision. Inherent in the design process is a ongoing search and evaluating of variety answers. This can be described as posing and evaluating multiple hypotheses and sub-hypotheses and is relevant to many other fields of inquiry. So, design learning generally occurs through a process of critique, a review of smaller studies, and the result of conversation or narrative that focuses on the result of these initial designs. These shortened works are treasured for their creativity, in which failure is actually valued. As Brown once said in his book Change by Design, fail often so we may succeed more quickly. In other words, entrepreneurial thinking is not about developing infallible technical expertise or the ability to develop declarative knowledge. It's the skill of developing original and well structured ideas. So, there are questions for self checking. For our next lesson, you have to prepare to answer these questions. And our references, which was used to prepare today's lesson. Ойлау мәдениеті, тіл және ойлау, and the others. So, thank you for your attention. Goodbye.